Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we'll be diving into the world of multi-agent LLM applications using AutoGen.
Oh, this should be fun.
Yeah, and you actually sent us this research paper.
Right.
It's called AutoGen, Enabling Next-Gen LLM Applications via Multi-Agent Conversation
Yeah.
by Wu and others.
It's a collaborative effort from Microsoft Research
Right.
and a number of universities.
Absolutely, and it dives into this idea of how AutoGen makes it possible to build applications where you have multiple AI agents, and they can communicate and work together
Yeah.
to get some pretty complex stuff done.
Like a dream team of AI specialists.
Yeah, and they really highlight these concepts of conversable agents and conversation programming,
Right.
which are kind of the foundation of this whole approach.
Yeah, the foundation.
So let's start with that. What are conversable agents?
You can think of them as individual modules.
Oh,
You can send and receive messages between each other.
Got it.
And they can be a number of things. They can be large language models.
Right.
They can be tools that perform specific tasks, or they can even be human users
Okay.
that provide feedback.
So it's not just AI talking to AI. It's more than that.
It's more dynamic.
Yeah.
It can be.
And, a key example the paper mentions is this interaction between what they call an assistant agent
Right.
and a user proxy agent,
Yeah.
where the assistant agent might be responsible for, generating some code or formulating some kind of plan.
Right.
And the user proxy agent would handle the execution
Yeah,
of that.
exactly.
Maybe interacting with tools out in the real world.
Yeah, so it's kind of like having a strategist and then an operator
That's a great way to think about it.
working together.
Yeah. So you've got the planner and then the one that goes out and actually gets things done.
Exactly.
So now let's talk about the second key concept,
Okay.
conversation programming.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like we're moving away from, traditional lines of code
Less about lines of code.
and towards something that's a little bit more intuitive.
More like writing dialogue.
So instead of writing specific instructions, we're almost scripting this dialogue between these AI agents.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
And the way they accomplish this is two patterns that they really focus on. First, unified interfaces and auto-reply mechanisms.
So that means they can all kind of talk in a standard format
Exactly. Yeah.
and automatically respond to each other based on, maybe some predefined rules or
That's
whatever the LLM decides to do.
That's right.
So the conversation can just flow naturally
Yeah.
without us having to constantly intervene.
Yeah. You got it.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
And then the second pattern
Yeah,
is this idea of using natural language and code to control that conversation.
that's right.
So you could say, hey, if you encounter this type of thing,
Right.
ask for human input or something.
Exactly. Yeah, you can really define.
Or trigger this tool.
Exactly. Yeah,
So you have this balance of autonomy.
Yeah.
But then you can still step in and say,
You still have that control.
hey, this is what I want you to do.
Exactly.
All right, so let's look at like a real world example from the
Yeah.
paper just to really get a sense of how this works.
Sure.
So you are using an AutoGen system
Right.
to go analyze this complex data set.
Right?
And you, as the user, might start off by saying something like,
Yeah. Analyze this data.
analyze this
And
data.
identify any trends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the assistant agent, it understands your request. It might generate some code
Right.
to do some processing.
Yeah.
That code then goes to the user proxy agent,
Right.
which actually executes it, maybe interacts with a database or something.
Right.
So you got this whole team working together
Yeah.
to fulfill this request.
Exactly.
And the conversation keeps going.
And it continues.
So they can,
Yeah.
clarify things, give feedback,
Right.
make adjustments as needed.
It's dynamic.
It's really a much different way of thinking about how to solve problems
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
AI.
It is.
So are you ready to see what this dream team of agents can actually do?
Already.
All right, because the paper showcases some really impressive applications.
Let's hear it.
So first up, math problem solving.
Okay.
So one of the most remarkable things is
Yeah.
that they found that AutoGen
Yeah.
actually outperformed GPT-4
Wow.
on this pretty challenging math data set.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and the way they did that is by having all these specialized agents working together.
Right.
So maybe you've got one that focuses on generating symbolic representations
Right.
of the problem,
Got it.
and then you have another one that checks the solutions, and then another one that searches for relevant information.
So it's like a team of mathematicians.
It is. It is.
They're all working together.
And it's not just limited to math.
Okay.
They also looked at how it performs
Yeah.
on retrieval-augmented code generation and question answering.
Wow.
So by connecting these agents to external databases and knowledge sources, they can generate code that uses the latest APIs,
Yeah.
or they can answer your questions
Okay.
with like a much deeper understanding of the real world context.
Yeah.
So it's constantly learning and adapting
That's impressive.
to this new information,
Yeah. Very cool.
but it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
They also explored AutoGen
Yeah.
in decision making
Right.
within these text-based environment.
Okay.
So they used a simulated environment
Yeah.
called ALF World,
Oh, I've heard of that.
which is essentially this virtual house
Okay.
where agents have to navigate and interact with objects
Okay.
to complete tasks.
So they're really trying to get it to understand the real world.
Exactly. So they have to plan, they have to make decisions,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
they have to deal with unexpected things.
Yeah.
And one thing they found that was really interesting is that by adding what they called a grounding agent, which provides some basic common sense knowledge, it actually significantly improved the performance.
That makes sense.
Because sometimes even AI needs
a little common sense.
A little common sense.
Yeah.
And what I found really exciting is this potential for multi-agent coding. So you could have a system where one agent writes code, another agent focuses on security, and then a third agent kind of orchestrates the whole process.
So a complete development team.
It's like a full AI development team.
That's wild. Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean, these applications are already really cool.
Yeah.
But the paper also hints at this potential to create systems that are even more interactive and dynamic. So like, where do we go from here? What else is there?
Well, one thing that stood out to me was this idea of a dynamic group chat. Where you have multiple agents participating, and the system kind of figures out who should speak next based on what's being said.
So it's like a round table with all these AI experts.
A round table of AI.
They're just throwing out ideas.
Yeah.
But how does it decide who gets to speak?
Well, it uses a clever approach with role-playing prompts to make sure the right agent is contributing at the right time.
So it's not just letting them all talk at once.
No, it's actually, it's finding the most relevant.
Optimizing that conversation.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, and speaking of interactive systems,
yes.
Get this. With AutoGen, you can actually play chess using natural language.
Oh, wow.
So I can talk to the AI. And
you can play chess with it just by speaking?
Play chess.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have this conversational chess interface where you can talk to your opponent and the board through natural language.
That's incredible.
So you make moves and you can strategize all through conversation.
But how do we know that it's fair?
Right.
How do we know the AI isn't cheating?
Well, that's where the multi-agent system really shines. Because they include what they call a board agent. That's separate and enforces all the rules.
Got it.
So everything is legal and fair.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't want to be playing against an AI that's cheating.
Any shenanigans.
I mean, it's just mind-blowing to see what they're doing.
It is.
But all of this kind of leads to a bigger question.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for the future?
Right.
What are the implications of this research?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah.
And the paper dives into some of those, starting with scalability. Because as we try to tackle more and more complex problems, we're going to need larger teams.
Right. Of AI agents all working together. And AutoGen provides a framework for coordinating these large systems.
So we're not just talking about a small team.
No.
We're talking about
vast networks.
Huge numbers of AI.
Yeah.
That's amazing, but also kind of scary.
It is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another important point. Human agency.
Right, because as these systems become more powerful, more autonomous.
More capable.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that they're still aligned with our values and that they operate safely.
It's not just about letting AI run wild.
Right. We
still need to have some control.
Maintain some control.
Some trust.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely, that they're going to act in our best interests.
Exactly. And the paper emphasizes the importance of transparency and control and how AutoGen is designed. They recommend having humans in the loop during development.
To make sure things are working as intended. To identify potential issues.
So we're not just tuning them loose and hoping for the best.
Oh, no.
We're still keeping an eye on things.
Exactly. Monitoring.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's reassuring to know that human oversight is still a priority.
It is.
But the paper also mentions some potential limitations and areas for future research.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that AutoGen still faces?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is creating agents that are really good at troubleshooting and making progress on a task, especially when things are unpredictable, when they're in a dynamic environment.
They need to be able to think on their feet.
Exactly, yeah.
And not just follow predefined rules.
Right. We need them to be
able to adapt.
To adapt, to learn, to improvise.
Wow.
And the paper talks about the need for more research on agents with diverse skill sets. Maybe even agents that can discover new skills.
Wow.
And upgrade themselves.
So they go to AI school.
It's like AI school.
And they learn new things.
Exactly. They're constantly learning, evolving, becoming more capable.
What other research directions do you see coming up?
Well, the authors also talk about the need for more robust mechanisms for scaling, safety, and human agency. Because as these systems become larger, more autonomous, we need to make sure that they're safe, that they're aligned with our values, and that we can hold them accountable.
Because we don't want to unleash something that we can't control.
Exactly.
So it's about building these powerful systems, but also making sure that they're used responsibly.
Responsibly.
For good.
For good, yeah.
It's a really exciting time.
It is.
To be involved in this field.
Yeah.
Because it feels like we're just at the beginning.
It feels like
of something really big.
The cusp of a new era in AI.
Now, before we wrap up our discussion on AutoGen, I'm going to talk about the system messages that are used to guide these agents.
Right, the instructions.
Yeah, so the paper actually includes the default system message for the assistant agent.
Yeah.
What's interesting about it is that it uses all these different prompting techniques to kind of program the agent's actions and responses.
Simple set of commands.
Yeah.
It's more nuanced.
By giving it a personality.
Yeah, it's like
or a set of guidelines.
Giving it guidelines
to follow. Yeah. And the paper talks about how important these techniques are for getting these complex interactions, even in a simple two-agent setup.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. So it's all about finding that balance between automation and human control.
Exactly.
Because we want these agents to be autonomous, but we also want to be able to step in
if necessary
when we need to.
Right.
And the researchers emphasize that it's important to keep that human agency, especially as these systems become more powerful.
Absolutely.
And they suggest having humans in the loop.
During development.
Yeah, to make sure that everything's working as expected.
Performing as expected.
So it's a powerful reminder.
It is.
That building these advanced AI systems is just one part.
It's only one
of the equation.
Right. Yeah.
We also need to make sure that we're using them ethically and responsibly. Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into AutoGen, what are like the main takeaways you hope our listeners will remember?
The biggest one for me is that multi-agent LLM systems like this really represent a paradigm shift in AI.
We're moving beyond these single large models
right.
towards systems that are more collaborative, right. more adaptable, more human-like, which opens up all sorts of possibilities, but also brings new challenges that we need to think carefully about.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time.
It is.
But also a time where we need to be cautious.
We do.
And make sure that we're developing these systems responsibly.
Yeah.
So as we develop these increasingly powerful AI systems, we have to prioritize transparency, control, and making sure that they're aligned with human values so that they remain tools for good.
Absolutely.
And help us build a better future.
For everyone.
Shaping the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said. It's been a fascinating journey.
It has been.
Exploring the world of AutoGen and multi-agent LLM systems with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure for sharing your expertise.
Thank you for having me.
And to our listener, we encourage you to keep learning about this stuff.
It's a rapidly advancing field.
Because the world of AI is changing so fast.
Yeah.
And it's up to all of us.
It is.
To stay informed and help shape its future.
Absolutely.
So until next time.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.